Hi, guys. Welcome to Messy Mondays, where healthcare admin gets real one mess at a time. I'm Brittany.
I'm Satasha, and we are BCN, the co-owners, your neighborhood credentialers and billers.
Yes, yes. So last week we talked to you guys about front desks and how that is the start of the revenue cycle. So today we're just going to piggyback off of that topic and kind of talk about how it all comes into play together. So today we're going to be discussing eligibility and benefits, verification, authorizations, and point of service collections. So for eligibility and benefits verification, insurance verification determines if the visit is billable. It ensures coverage is active, the service is covered, and the patient is financially responsible for any co-pays, deductibles, co-insurance, all that good stuff. When skipped, the result is denials, delayed cash flow, or unrecoverable revenue. So, for example, a patient's insurance policy terminated last week, but the front desk didn't verify. The provider sees the patient, submits the claim, and it's denied, leaving the practice to absorb the company, the cost or chase the patient directly, which sometimes you can't catch them. So definitely want to make sure that you are doing your eligibility and benefits verifications for these patients, guys.
Absolutely. And to stand on the point of the point of sale collection, the point of service collection, I apologize, is when your patient comes in. So when you're checking the services, and a lot of the payer portals now do have it to where you can type in the CPT code in the eligibility screen to see if they owe it, to see if they require an authorization for these services. So when you do that, so if you're coming in for a CT scan, now I'm just putting this out here. Listen, write it down, put it on the sticky note. If it is a test, 90% of the time, you're going to need an authorization. If it's an image, I don't care what type of picture it is, you need to try to get an authorization. If you have to prick and prod on this person, I'm not talking about a vaccination. I'm talking about if you got to bust the skin, you probably need an authorization. So that is some information that put that down, okay? If it's a test, I don't care if you testing genealogy or any of that. If it's testing, authorization. If it's a picture imaging, authorization. If you have to bust the skin, authorization. You ain't gotta listen to me. You can lose the money. I'm just telling you, front desk should have a big sticky note that says those three statements. Period. Testing, imaging, busting the skin. All that authorization. Everything else probably doesn't need an authorization, but those particular things do need authorization. But that is your first line of verification. You can check the eligibility. You're able to see what the patient owes, as Brittany said. So if you're checking what the patient owes, then you can collect the money up front. And that should already be in the patient's notes. Hey, they have a $30 copay for this. Hey, they're going to have a 20% copay, co-insurance for our services. And if you already have a copy of your contract, and insurances are moving away from putting your allowed amounts in your contracts because y'all talk too much. But that's a whole different story and a different day. We're going to talk about it. They done told y'all stop sharing information and y'all keep doing it. So they're moving away from it. But you can kind of gauge based off what you've been billing before, how much your reimbursement for certain codes are, especially if you are a specialty. So if you're only doing mental health, you can see what that particular paying is for, these certain codes. If you are a gynecologist or if you are doing nothing but E&M visits, you can kind of gauge based off the CPT codes what your reimbursement rates are. but you'll also be able to see if they have a deductible. Now, I don't know how y'all feel about it, but me and Brittany, if they have a high deductible and they have not met that high deductible, what we like to tell them to tell you guys to do is take the money up front. So if your allowed amount is $117.32 for this particular service, and you see that the patient has not met their deductible and this particular service applies to their deductible, then I would say, hey, Susan Q, you owe me $172.32 for this service before they leave your office, because they might not want to pay you on the back end, or they might not ever see you again. And then now you're chasing pennies because you can't find this patient. So we always suggest that is eligibility is very important, because you're looking at all of these things at one time when it comes to point of service payments and authorizations and eligibility. I mean, that's money lost at the door. At
Yes.
the
And
door.
yeah, patients are 70% more likely to pay at the time of service than after receiving the bill. So if you can, like Satasha said, collect that money up front while they are there standing in front of you, take their money. You know, some insurances tell you, oh, don't collect deductibles, but you can't ensure that you'll get your money on the back end. So we do highly suggest collecting that when they see you, and then having your front desk notify them before their appointment, like, hey, you're going to have a deductible, so then they can make a sound decision on whether or not they want to still see you, or if they need to move that appointment back when they can't afford it. But skipping those upfront collections shifts financial risk to the practice, and it's not a good look.
And even if you don't want to collect the entire deductible up front, take a deposit, because that'll eat up some of the remaining cost on it. And then it also shows that you have a relationship with your patient. Oh, I already know you're going to owe $150, so give me $50 today. Then when the claim process, you can give me another $50, and then give me $50, a week after the claim. So make payment arrangements with them if you already know what their deductible is going to be, and you know that it's not in their financial range to pay the entire, $117.32 at that time. Hey, let's split it up. So give me, half now, and then we'll charge you half later. Go ahead and make that known from the beginning. That way, when the claim is processed with the insurance company and they get this statement, because be assured the patient got the same statement you got. They send you one thing and they send them another thing. So you have an explanation of benefits and you have an ERA. ERA is electronic remittance advice. And so, and y'all both got two different things. One says it really nicely to them. Yours is just spelled out with all your patients on it. And so they got the same thing that you get. So they will be notified that they owe you. Do you open your mail all the time? I'm guilty for it. I am so guilty for it. I've thrown away cards because I was like trash, because I threw it in the trash and then I didn't look at it. So we can rest assured that your patients do know that they owe the money, but will they pay you? But if you talk to them before, and then now they know they have a $2,000 balance, hey, you have a $5,000 deductible and you only met $120 of it. That gives them, hey, you know what? I don't really need to see you today. Let me put some money away so I can come see you. So it helps you engage with your patients.
It does. And then just to touch on what Satasha just said, patients often don't understand their insurance. So the front desk or yourself can explain the copays, the coverage, the financial responsibility, either at check-in. Probably don't want to do it that way. You probably want to do it beforehand, so that way, they're not surprised when they get there. But clear communication avoids surprise bills and it improves your patient satisfaction. So just be sure, you don't want to get hit or surprised. Oh, you owe $200 today, So just be sure you're clear on the communication when you're discussing, that goes back to the insurance, the eligibility, and verifying the benefits for your patients and your clients.
Absolutely. And to touch bases on the authorizations, again, these are very important aspects of the front desk. Like you need to look at those three things that I told you about in the beginning: testing, imaging, and busting skin. Those are highly likely things that need authorizations. So yes, you might have to call the insurance companies. A lot of the insurance companies now have it online where you can do the authorizations online and request it online and get a same day approval depending on what the testing is, or the services are. You normally can get same day approvals. You do have sometimes when you have surgeries or certain imaging needs to be done, they want to be like, well, why do you need to spend this much money on an image? What happened before? And you need to send in the medical records prior to prove medical necessity. So a lot of times when you get these no authorization denials, they're not dead, but they were preventable. And so now you have prolonged your adjudication process by at least 90 to 120 days, because sometimes that's how long appeals take. And then at that time, you have to prove medical necessity. And if you had done the authorization in the beginning, you could have gave them the reason why you want to do X, Y, Z. And they could have told you right then, hey, we're not going to authorize this service, or this service is approved. And if they tell you that they're not going to authorize this service, then you can do an ABM with the patient and say, hey, they're not going to authorize it, so I'm going to have to charge you out of pocket. Instead of sending it to the patient then and saying, hey, insurance didn't approve it, so now it's a PR 197 and you owe it. That's not fair to the patient, because you didn't do your due diligence, or you didn't have your staff properly trained to do their due diligence at the very beginning. So authorizations are very crucial, and they're preventable denials, especially if, like I said, you keep in mind the type of services that you are rendering. Like with TRICARE, you can be a certified provider with TRICARE, but you can also be out of network with them. And so to see Prime members, you're going to require to have an authorization, or you won't get paid your full amount. A lot of it's going to be placed to the patient. And again, that's not fair to the patient for them to have to pay for services that you didn't do your due diligence at the very beginning. Of course, you're not losing your money. You might lose your money because everybody ain't got it. And with the economy today, we ain't all got it. If you check your bank account, what Kevin Hart say? I got checkings and savings. So everybody don't have it. So it's good to always talk to you, like Brittany said, to have that conversation with your patient beforehand and not at the time of service or after the service, because it can make them feel like you didn't know what you was doing. And then it can put a bad taste in their mouth when it comes to your practice. So just make sure we're
Definitely.
getting these authorizations. So let's say it again all together: testing, imaging, and busting skin. All of those things need authorizations. And if you're not doing your verification at the very beginning, your insurance verification, like Brittany said, then you like to lose money. I don't like losing money. I don't even like
Yeah,
losing money at the casino. So I don't understand why you would provide a service and not want to be rendered payment.
absolutely. So just again, make sure you get your authorization, your referral, whatever, because missing that step can definitely mean zero reimbursement, no matter how clean the claim is on the back end. And just, some of these insurance are very picky. So, say you didn't know authorization was needed and you've been seeing the patient for months. And then you're like, oh, let me get the authorization. And then you want them to backdate it. They will tell you no. They will say no, 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 no. And they will be like, well, we can start it the day you submitted the authorization. And you're out of all of that money because you didn't get it at the beginning. So keep that in mind, guys.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you know you're going to see the patient over and over again for the same service, let's say speech therapy or physical therapy, make sure you put enough units. It's always best to have more than less. So when you're getting those authorizations for those type of therapies, and say, hey, if you know you're going to need 97110, 972-576, all of those different things, put it all on the authorization. And don't come back later and be like, I think the patient needs this. Before you provide that service, call the insurance company and have them add it to your current authorization or have them run you a new one. Don't just assume, oh, it's in the same family, they're going to pay for it. Insurance companies are like, you said with contrast, you didn't ask without contrast for certain imaging. So let's be careful.
Yes. So the key takeaway for today, again, the revenue cycle doesn't start with billing. It starts the moment your patient walks in the door. That's our Messy Monday, guys.
Yep, and we tackled some truths. And remember, it's all about improving, learning, and becoming a better provider. Learning what's best for you and your patients. If you find this information helpful, share it with your friends, your grandma, your colleagues, all that. Share, comment. Look at all our other platforms. We share real good information. Join us next Monday for more insights on helping your practice game tighten up. Until then, keep it cute, keep it ethical, and take care of your patients. Bye.
Bye.